sprayed way too much room spray. How concentrated is this?
Very. One spritz will do you.
Smells good at least.
Brings tears to my eyes, but hey.
My eyes are burning, okay?
I was going to say they look a little red.
Oh my goodness.
Red rum.
Holy shit.
Oh,
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome to Spattered. I can taste the room. It's like graveyard scented from Bath and Body Works.
And I've got Ode to Pine Sol with whatever the hell she sprayed in her bathroom.
Oh my God. Once again, Bath and Body Works. It's a mixture of the bourbon and tiki wood, like cologne.
Oh God. And Pine Sol.
And Pine Sol. So my house smells like a man in the woods. And there's a graveyard.
You kind of think it does? I'm going to just... No, it does not. Trust me.
It's a man in the woods.
No.
With a graveyard nearby, okay? So he's somewhere out south. Oh my God. I've been pepper sprayed.
And she did it herself, too. She was tauntingly showing me that she had her spritz back there and went shh, 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 2 or 3 times and nailed herself. And it's so deserved.
It says concentrated on it. I should have known better.
No.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
Well, that'll wake you up.
That it will. Welcome in, everybody, to the first episode of Spattered. I guess this intro kind of sets the mood for how we are here. We're a little bit chaotic.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun. There will be some gallows humor, most likely, throughout episodes, so just a heads up.
Yeah, dark humor's good.
Dark humor is a coping mechanism, so just be prepared for some of that. Mm-hmm. But going into this episode, I do want to let you guys know that Mom is aware of some of the things that are happening, because we recorded a episode prior to this about one of the survivors, and then I found a lovely website afterwards and tried to reach out, but the survivor doesn't want her story shared without her permission, so we're going to honor that and make sure that, like, when we do end up talking about her, it's very light and it's not going deep into her story.
Without her permission, yes.
Without her permission. But if you guys do want to go listen to that story, I highly suggest going into our show notes and checking out the Truth or Consequences podcast. And I'll have the episode linked in there for her. But today we're not really getting into survivors yet. We're going to go back before everything. And we're going to talk a little bit about the man himself.
The schmegma he is?
The schmegma himself.
The schmegma. You don't look that up. You don't want to know. But it's just, suffice it to say, it's pretty descriptive of him.
It is very descriptive of him. So, this is why Mom's already pissed off, because she knows what this fucker's gonna do.
Dude, I have, for the last week and a half, been repeatedly figuring out and thinking up more and more, which is outside of my realm, demented ways to fucking torture this piece of crap. And it's like, I just want to.
Completely understandable. Because I'm right there fucking with you. Unfortunately, I am. I don't like thinking that way, but
I don't either. I'm normally a pretty pleasant person.
Well, it's like, there's so much that happens in this case, and, like, here's your trigger warning.
Yeah.
For sexual assault, torture, and some of the worst shit I have ever dug through in my life. Not
to mention animal stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We won't touch too much on that in this episode. We'll be going...
God, because, that was way more than I fucking needed.
We'll be going into that with episode 2. I'm so sorry.
No, you're not.
I'm not, because I have been in this hell for 2 weeks now.
Yeah, the joyous thing is most people don't understand that when Katie does these kinds of deep dives and all this kind of stuff, the first person she calls is me. And vents to me, and I'm going, yeah, dude, that sounds like a really big asshole, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. She can't do that here because I don't know everything about him. So she's just friggin' every time she's like, oh, never mind. So, yeah.
I have been venting to my poor friend June, who will show up eventually on this podcast. Probably episode 3, I think, is what she's coming in on. So, yeah. She'll show up eventually, but I've been venting to her. I've been, like, talking and telling her everything. She's like, Katie, I don't want to know this. I don't want to know this. And then there's, like, moments she's like, well, now I'm curious. How does that work?
No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't go into the darkness. No.
But anyways, we're going to go ahead and transition in. So while we understand that some individuals listen for the entertainment aspect of true crime, it's important to remember that these are real people with families and friends who may still be suffering from their loss or victimization. These stories are not meant to open old wounds or cause further emotional damage to those involved. We remind you, please be respectful, do not dox or contact people involved with cases. The case discussed on this podcast today may be disturbing to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. So, David Parker Ray was born in Belen, New Mexico on November 6th of 1939 to father Cecil Leland Ray and mother Nettie Opal Parker. Ray lived an impoverished lifestyle with his younger sister Peggy Pearl Ray, and from the beginning, the two had faced an uphill struggle with a often violent father who drank heavily and would take his frustrations out on his wife and 2 young children.
What a nice man.
One of David's childhood friends even mentioned later in an interview that his dad had a temper, and I heard some things about his dad, but I don't want to repeat them.
Okay.
Now, at some point during his young childhood, there's a couple of different podcasts that reference this. However, I could not find the source to save my fucking life. But apparently,
if they did it, I think it's probably okay. But yeah,
I'm thinking it's pretty accurate because there's a couple different shows that are talking about this. But apparently, there was an aunt that used to come and watch the children when Cecil would leave and when Nettie would leave. And this aunt was actually into sadomasochistic sex and would force David to participate and harm her.
Oh, so he got a taste for it at a young age.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So I did want to put that in there. I'm not sure where that source is at, but there is some discussion regarding that going on. It's not said how old he was when this was happening, but I'm presuming if he's being watched by this aunt...
He's not very damn old.
He's not very damn old.
Yeah, because at that age, you know, the 30s and 40s...
Latchkey kids.
Well, no. Latchkey didn't come until about my age, but still, they were watched until they were maybe 10, 12 years old. So, and I'm thinking she wasn't an actual physical aunt either. I'm thinking that was, you know, a friend of somebody's that, like, auntie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
So, eventually, when David was 10 years old, Cecil did walk out on the family, moving to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and divorcing Nettie. The 2 children would rarely see their father again until they were both grown adults. Nettie also decided that she was going to remain with her parents, and the children were sent to Mountain Air to be raised by their grandparents. Now, since Nettie did stay with her parents, I'm presuming the children went to live with the paternal grandparents.
Yeah, I'm going to say, yeah. I'm with you on that one. Which means, oh, goody, yet another little link in the chain.
Now, the area that David and Peggy were sent to live to was on a ranch, and they were expected to do ranch work before they left for school in the morning and when they returned in the evening. The grandparents were also very strict and insisted on the highest standards of dress and behavior from the two children, even if money was short and the two were regularly dressed in hand-me-downs.
Okay.
Now, due to David's grandfather insisting that the two were properly dressed with button-up shirts and nice clothing, David was often subjugated to bullying by his schoolmates, which wasn't helped by his shy demeanor and lack of ability to stand up for himself.
Oh.
Now,
Okay.
In addition to this, if David and Peggy did not live up to the standards set by their grandfather, he would not hesitate to beat the two Ray children.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, during the 6 years that David and Peggy lived with their grandparents, their father Cecil only visited twice, and their mother Nettie would visit occasionally, but there really wasn't a maternal bond between her and her children.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
So, David's father, and here we go again, David's father would bring him magazines depicting sadomasochistic pornography.
Okay, so that's who the auntie was on his side.
Mm-hmm, most likely.
Oh, God, what a twisted web we weave.
Now, according to the Cries in the Desert book and Slow Death, which I have linked in the show notes, there was also a possibility that David's father would bring him True Detective magazines, which, if you know what that is, it's older forensic-style magazines that have very, very graphic photos of crime scenes in them.
And actual tales of those said crime scenes, and, the women were always...
It was very
nasty.
victim...
very chauvinistic.
Very victim-blamey, very poorly written in today's standards. Yeah. So, mind you, these types of magazines were created in 1940 as far as the sadomasochistic pornography goes. So, in comparison to some types of magazines that exist today, not nearly as bad, but we also have the dark web today where people get away with all certain types of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, at 13, David does describe that he would spend most of his time kind of out in the woods. He had learned how to make his own explosives and would often steal stuff from his grandfather as he worked in the mines. So TNT, those types of things.
Oh, yeah.
So when his grandfather wasn't home and it was his grandmother, who really didn't fucking care about the children and didn't look after them, he would go blow stuff up around the ranch.
Jesus Christ.
He also received a Cushman pacemaker motor scooter at this time.
Oh, those are so cute, too.
And he discovered that he had a natural-born gift as a mechanic.
Oh, that doesn't sound like it's going to bode well.
He'd take apart and reassemble it piece by piece in his spare time. So he's starting to get a different hobby. Instead of just blowing shit up.
Oh, yeah, but I'm just going, where does this enter into the equation? Because it does.
This gave him a newfound confidence amongst his peers, and they regularly asked him to service their bikes, their scooters, anything that basically had an engine.
Like a small motors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately,
I told you it was coming. I told you it was coming.
At 13, David also started to delve into the darker and more sinister hobby as well, as he started drawing pictures of sadomasochistic torture and fantasizing about tying women up and torturing them.
Well, if that's all he has ever known.
Yeah.
He doesn't know love.
He doesn't know love. He's been neglected, which is a huge psychological impact on a child. And not to mention, when he is seeing sex, unfortunately, he's an active participant in some really, really dark shit.
Exactly. What else is he? I'm not defending him. Don't get me wrong.
We're allowed to feel bad for the child. The adult can get fucked. The kid, though.
Exactly. The kid. It's like, but yeah, he's into the verge of adulthood now, so it's starting to
to escalate.
Turn. Yeah.
Now, there are documents and sources that say that he could have gotten started with this as early as 10 years old. Okay. His sister Peggy was actually the first to discover David's fascination with bondage after finding pornographic photos and drawings hidden in his room. When she confronted him about it, he laughed and stated, "It's a new hobby." To which I'm presuming she's kind of like, "Oh, right, what the fuck? Okay," and leaves him alone.
I would. Yeah.
By the age of 16 years old, he started acting on these sexual fantasies, and at some point in 1956, David found his first captive.
Jesus.
Now, the only reason that these crimes at David's early adolescence are known is because David kept extensive journals regarding his attacks so he could relive them at a later date.
Yeah, that's not creepy at all.
Unfortunately, this means that he's not documenting names of the victims, and what happened to them after he was done isn't documented either.
So he keeps notes about him, but he doesn't write even just a first name?
No. For the most part, I don't think he really cared.
Well, I can kind of understand that, but you would think if he wanted to relive his glory that he would, oh yes, marry X or something like that on it.
Maybe, but like,
Fucking
even if it's
ass.
like that, it's kind of like you're reliving what's going on. You're not really caring about who it was. So he did usually document the location where it occurred, the age of the victim, and the year the abduction took place, along with a couple of notes regarding what happened.
Oh, good Lord.
So
okay.
He also used a ranking system to further dehumanize his captives.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Nope. So he would give them a 1 if he thought that they were pretty, a 2 if he thought that they were average, and a 3 if they were unappealing to him.
Well, he's definitely a 4 or 5 to me, so that's on a scale of 3.
The first 2 journal entries happened in 1956 when David was around the ages of 16 to 17 years old. The first journal entry is about a girl who was approximately 15 years old, and the location being somewhere labeled Ranch Grove. So it's presumably happening somewhere on his grandparents' property.
Oh, good God.
Now, he notes that this was his first sexual experience, and the 2 pretended it was rape. He tied her spread eagle between 2 trees while he played with her.
Oh, my God.
He also documents that the girl enjoyed the experience.
Well, if he isn't actually physically, if it's... No, I shouldn't say consensual, but it could have been consensually done. It's possible.
Possible it could have been consensual. However, this got his taste started.
Well, yeah, but even in the consensual thing, it's just like, ooh, I like this. I want to do it again.
Yeah.
And it escalates.
Well, it's like, and we're going to pause here for a second because BDSM, S&M, you know what? If it's between 2 consenting adults that want to get freaky in the bedroom,
you go to, God bless. Whatever.
Go to, God bless.
Floats your fucking boat. I just don't want to know about it, nor do I want to be a part of it.
Please don't hurt people.
Yes, exactly. I also have to bring this to attention. He's about the same age as Nana. She graduated high school in 1956. Okay. Yeah. So that gives you a whole nother thing. Her age then, and think of that.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, sorry. When you said he was born in 1939, I went, oh, shit, he's a year younger than Nana. Mm-hmm.
So his second journal entry is about another girl that he states was his first kidnapping and first rape.
Oh, see, so he definitely got to liking that after, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Even if it was just pretend on the first time, he
decided he liked that. Yeah, fucker.
So he described his victim as very pretty and around the age of 16 years old. He kept her for a weekend at an area he called the Pine Shadow Tent. There is a Pine Shadow hiking trail just 2 hours south of Mountain Air, New Mexico. And he describes how he abducted this girl from a small town nearby, forced her up into the mountain in the trails, and kept her captive in a tent in the wilderness just off the trails. In his notes, he detailed how he practiced some new sadistic techniques, causing pain and damage to his victim. And it's theorized that he went for a visual stimulus to actually know that he was hurting her.
So in other words, he had to draw blood.
He was drawing blood, most likely.
Fucker.
According to interviews with the FBI with David, he had been collecting broken bottles from a younger age, and he'd use them for sexual penetration, varying in different sizes and shapes with the bottles.
This dude is beyond fucked up.
This was likely David's first ever murder, and as he had a lack of knowledge on how to medically stop the bleeding, the girl most likely bled out over the course of the weekend.
Jesus fuck.
And he disposed of her body somewhere in the New Mexico wilderness where it was never found.
Oh, God, that poor thing. Torture isn't good enough for this piece of shit.
No, it's not. In the summer of 1957, the grandmother passed away suddenly, and the Ray children were split up. Peggy stayed in Mountain Air, where she lived with a local family, while David was sent to Albuquerque mid-semester to live with his mother.
Oh, goody. Now he's got good stomping grounds in Albuquerque.
However, like you presume, this did not stop David's criminal activity, and more journal entries started to appear with dates for 1957. His first entry described the abduction and rape of another 16-year-old girl, with the location being marked as BLM Cave, most likely an old mining cave, which was so secluded that it has never been found.
Oh, Jesus.
To make things worse, David also notes that an accomplice named Shirley started to help him, stating, "We made a lot of mistakes and the girl almost got away. There was a lot of experiments performed on the girl."
Oh my God. I can't, the thing that gets me is, why would any other woman, other than to not become a victim herself, so she probably went, yeah, I'll help you, versus you doing this shit to me. But still, good Lord.
So there's no reports of sexual assault to the police, so it's theorized this may be another victim of murder.
Oh, God.
There's another abduction of a girl in 1957. She was a 20-year-old college student. She, too, was brought to the secluded cave by Shirley and David. In the journal, David notes how Shirley had lured the girl in for the kidnapping, and that Shirley and the girl may have possibly been friends.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm betting anything she already knew her or had at least some sort of relationship or acquaintance with her.
Now, presumably, the two had been drinking that night when the party scene started to die off for the evening. Shirley offered to keep the night going with marijuana and harder drugs. To avoid doing illicit activities in a public space, Shirley brought her back to the cave where David was waiting.
Oh, of course. Sounds very familiar.
This girl was bound and screamed for help from her friend, who simply smiled and tied the ropes tighter. When they were done, the girl was likely killed and buried out in the desert.
And so I'm just like, wasn't there some sort of missing persons at this point about this girl? You would figure there would be at the same time frame.
And
somebody's
there might
daughter
be,
went
but
missing. Yeah, and they never.
Who do you even begin to look at for that? Because this is 1940s. You don't have social media. You don't have a trail that's like, oh, I saw her last with this.
Yeah,
it's a party scene in Albuquerque, and I'm sorry to say it, it's very much that less than dead type of mentality. It doesn't really matter who you are. If you go missing, you're just gone. And we're going to see that in future cases. Especially if they know that you're doing drugs already, you fall into what they consider to be a high-risk lifestyle, which puts you into the lesser dead category.
True story. Okay.
So the third victim was someone the couple found by accident, a young woman who was stranded on the side of the road with a flat tire. The two pulled over and offered her help, and the woman, who was in quite the predicament, gratefully accepted their help.
That's because we were taught to be nice, gracious, and kind.
After talking for a while with them, they discovered that she was only 17 years old.
Baby Jesus.
So, after she let her guard down, the two punched her, gagged her, and tied her up, throwing her in their vehicle and speeding away back to the same secluded cave.
Mm-hmm.
She went through the same torture and assault as the previous victims, and it's unclear if she survived or not.
I'm going to go with or not.
I'm going to say probably not.
Yeah.
There was a fourth victim that the couple came across at a bus stop. She was around the age of 18. When they took her hostage, they took her back to the same cave as the previous victims and kept her tied to a table, which I'm presuming they moved there at some point.
Oh, yeah, I got to get your jollies on that one.
Where they kept her legs tied, folded back for most of the weekend.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus.
David also began practicing breast bondage at this point, and Shirley pulled out most of the victim's pubic hair.
The fuck? Oh my God.
Shirley and David likely tortured and killed at least 4 women during their spree in 1957.
Does anybody know who this fucking Shirley was?
Nope.
And no last name in his shit about her either. Motherfucker.
And this is basically where she trails off and we don't hear about her again. So
well,
it's
he
presumed that
probably did
the
her
two either broke up or he did her in.
I think he did her in. She was maybe going to... No, she probably didn't feel guilty about it, but maybe she was going to try to...
Get away.
Blackmailing for some stuff, yeah. Yeah.
So, in 1957, after graduating from Valley High School in Northwest Albuquerque, David left home and got a job as a mechanic. He started dating a 17-year-old girl, whose name, unfortunately, I couldn't find, and married her in 1959.
Oh, Lord.
A few months into the marriage with his new wife, who was pregnant, David enlisted in the United States Army and went overseas and honed in on his mechanic skills and knowledge.
Of course.
In 1960, his wife gave birth to a baby boy who they named David Evelyn. However, the marriage started to fall apart with David. After long absences in early 1961, David was granted emergency leave to return to the United States and file for divorce.
Oh, boy, she got out of that one, didn't she? Maybe.
Well, it's presumed that she had some drug issues going on because
she'd have to. She
Albuquerque.
Married him. Yeah, and she married his ass.
Now, David was awarded full custody of the baby.
Oh, fuck me, running uphill.
Who was being taken care of at the time by the State Department of Public Welfare, so CPS.
Yeah, so she went and she got thrown in jail or something. She was deemed,
She was deemed unfit. And there was a little challenge from the mother when custody battles went through.
Yeah.
And when he did leave for deployment, the boy would stay with Nettie. Later in the year, while David was on leave, he met another young girl. Her name has been redacted for privacy reasons on my side because I did find her name. But as far as I can find, there's a lot of people that just redact her because she doesn't want to be associated.
Can't blame her.
And proposed marriage to her. This marriage was even briefer than the first, and just after 3 months, they filed for divorce. However, it would take more than 2 years for it to be finalized.
Mm-hmm.
In 1963, David was discharged from the Army with an honorable discharge and returned to Albuquerque, where he was employed by Springer Corp., a local trucking company owned by his stepfather, and for the next few months, he lived with his mother, stepfather, and young son.
Okay.
in Albuquerque, New Mexico, in like a small home. So in early 1966, at the age of 26 years old, David met an 18-year-old girl named Galinda Burdine and married her in a whirlwind courtship. Galinda already had a son coming into this relationship who she brought to live with the Ray family. On May 2nd of 1967, Galinda gave birth to Galinda Jean Ray, also known as Jessie, to keep their names different.
Oh, okay. Because, yeah, I named her after myself. Wow.
Well, I mean, they named the son after David.
Well, with boys, you do that because you're,
Yeah.
Whatever. Anywho.
So, from the start, Jessie had a fierce independence, and her father worshipped her for it.
Really? I would have figured he'd beat her to death because of it.
No. The two began to develop an unusually close relationship with each other.
Oh, Jesus fuck, are you kidding me?
During this time, too, David began to become more active in the bondage community around Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
When Jessie was just a few months old, David abandoned the family to reinvent himself as a hippie. He grew his hair out long and bummed around Arizona and New Mexico.
Oh, lovely.
Doing odd jobs and repairs to make money. In the summer of 1969, around his 30th birthday, David met another teenage girl named Sally, who he hitchhiked with near Albuquerque, New Mexico.
So is this wedding number 4 coming up, or 5, or have I lost count?
He hasn't divorced Glinda.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, my bad.
So he's still married. Now, during their hitchhiking, they stopped at Bob's Truck Stop, which, from what I could find online, may have been converted into a Pilot or other type of gas station today on Route 66.
Mm-hmm. I kind of know the general area.
The owner of the shop was so impressed with David's work as a mechanic that he offered him a job and a place to stay as their on-site mechanic. At some point during their stay, Sally vanished along with all of her possessions. And when David was asked where Sally had gone, he simply stated, "She's a free spirit. She decided to go."
Oh, yeah, she did.
When fall came around, David also left the position, hitchhiking on I-40 back to Albuquerque. He decided to move back in with his wife and 2 children.
Oh, how magnanimous.
I'm like, oh yeah, you're such a family man. Fuck you.
Such a family boy. Oh, such a manly family man, yeah. Fucker.
David once again started working repair jobs in Albuquerque and enrolled in a course to qualify as an aircraft mechanic, passing with his certification in April of 1969. He then moved his family to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where he'd been offered a teaching position at the Spartan School of Aeronautics.
Well, spread it out. There's another state he's involved in.
He taught engine mechanics and specialized aviation maintenance to students representing national airlines and private industries across the world for 2 years.
Oh, boy.
Now, people remember David as being a nice guy, a good instructor.
They always are.
A helpful man. And his children remember him as a laid-back father, noting that he never raised a hand to them and that their mother was the one that actually would charge the discipline. However, behind the scenes, David was still stalking young females and abducting at least 2 girls a year.
Wow.
David described that in his 30s, his sadomasochistic fantasies began to take over his life, and he could only ejaculate if he imagined himself killing a woman.
I told you.
In the mid-1970s, David moved his family to Victoria, Texas, where he ran a gas station and helped out as a volunteer firefighter.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
But by 1977, he'd moved back to Albuquerque, finding a job as a repairman for the Action, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railroad. And
Atchison.
Atchison, okay.
Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railroad. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how to say that. And
Atchison.
It was very, very crude when I went to look it up. So it took him all over the Midwest for the next 5 years.
Oh, goody. So now he's spreading the love around more.
In 1973, when David was around the age of 33 years old, he kidnapped 5 different women.
Oh, my God.
2 were teenage sisters he'd picked up while they were hitchhiking. He tortured them for 5 days. Another 2 he picked up at a bar, torturing them for a weekend. And the 5th woman was a 30-year-old mother who happened to have her infant son with her when she hitched a ride from David Parker Ray.
Oh, my God.
He took the 2 to a location he documented as EB Tent East Side, and investigators presume that it stood for Elephant Butte Lake, New Mexico.
Oh, my God.
By 1981, his marriage to Glinda had unraveled, and David would only see his teenage daughter on rare occasions when he visited New Mexico. By 1983, David was once again re-envisioning himself.
Of course.
Taking the maiden name of Parker and moving to Phoenix, Arizona, becoming a service manager and lead mechanic at Canal Motors on North 35th Avenue.
Oh, that's close to your old stump.
I'm like, that is literally just down the street from where I used to live.
Oh, goody, goody, goody. Gum drops.
David was once again considered a good worker, excellent mechanic to his boss and business partner, Billy Ray Bowers. And over the next 8 years, he helped Canal
Spell it.
C-A-N-A-L.
Canal.
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 It could be canal, but I would just say canal. Or you could do canal.
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 But over the next 8 years, helped Canal Motors grow into a thriving business. During this time, David remarried a local woman in Phoenix and was making a good living in the now growing and thriving city, as it was really starting to take off around this time and people were starting to move.
So we're on number 4, yes?
We're on to number 4, yes.
Number 4, okay. Good God, this man. Anyways.
Over the next couple years, David would continuously crisscross into New Mexico and back into Arizona. He and his wife at the time leased a state-owned property at 513 Bass Road by Elephant Butte Reservoir, just outside of Truth or Consequences, New Mexico.
Yeah, there we go.
He also bought a property at Stone Lake, New Mexico, between Grants and Gallup.
Oh, fuck.
Comprising
I pass that bitch all the time.
comprising his new travel route between the 3 areas, which formed a 675-mile triangle.
Yeah, and guess what? I bet you there's all kinds of stuff spread there.
Now, he used these properties in New Mexico as, like, vacation retreats.
Oh, no.
But during his trips to New Mexico, he would take women to these vacation retreats for sexual bondage sessions. Soon after leasing the property near Truth or Consequences, David moved a large double-wide trailer and began designing and making specialized bondage equipment, which he would sell to buyers all around the world.
Oh, Jesus. You don't know how close you came to living in Truth or Consequences, because that's where Nana wanted to live.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, so this little house could have been there. You could have been reading about your own hometown.
No, thank you.
Yeah, that's when you go, burn it down.
Burn it down. Now, Jessie, by the time she was 19 years old, was very aware of his sadomasochistic lifestyle and the women who helped him satisfy it. In fact, she'd been exposed to it through most of her childhood and young adult life when he'd come home. In June of 1986, Jessie went to the New Mexico branch of the FBI and made a complaint against her father. She accused him of kidnapping women, torturing them, and then transporting them to the Mexico border where he sold them as sex slaves.
Motherfucker.
The agent working the case stated she did this out of spite, but there was a lot of information consistent with what we found later in his home. A year later, FBI investigated David's activities in New Mexico and Arizona, bringing him in for questioning on several different occasions. In each interview, David was cooperative and delighted to discuss his deviant lifestyle as he tried to rationalize it to the officers. On one occasion, he even mentioned himself as being potentially dangerous.
Seriously?
Shockingly,
Shocker.
FBI dropped the case.
Well, of course they fucking did.
So, on September 22nd of 1988, David's boss at Canal Motors, Billy Ray Bowers, disappeared into thin air after cashing in his half of the business. Just a week earlier, Billy had began carrying a gun around and telling family and friends that he was in fear for his life. He'd also made a second copy of the company books with instructions to call police if anything were to happen to him.
Did anybody do it?
After Billy's disappearance, the family did call the police, and investigators offered a $5,000 reward for information on his whereabouts.
Generous.
Police also questioned David at the time. However, there were no clues to suspect him, and the case remained unsolved.
Well, he's such a lovely man to speak to.
Exactly 1 year after Billy had disappeared, a Santa Fe vacationer was fishing at Elephant Butte Lake when he snagged a blue tarp.
Oh, let me guess. Fish food.
Inside the blue tarp was a dead body. So the body was that of a 5', 10-inch tall man in his 30s. He'd been tied with ropes and weighed down by 2 boat anchors, still wearing his red and blue striped pullover, blue pants, tennis shoes, which bore the words Aloha and Hawaii on them, and he had $47.49 in his pockets.
So he wasn't shot for his money.
Nope.
Not that money.
The medical examiner obviously ruled this death a homicide. However, due to the drastic changes in the lake's temperature, which can go through the year, there was no way to tell how long the body had actually been in the water.
Right.
The deceased was formally laid to rest as Mr. John Doe, died September 28th of 1989. And it would be another 10 years before the body would be identified as Billy Ray Bowers. And the murder investigation reactivated with David Parker Ray as the prime suspect. In January of 1991, David quit his job at Canal. How have I been saying it this whole time? Canal Motors. And left Phoenix to move permanently to his trailer by Elephant Butte Lake. He bought a pickup truck and started his own roadside towing business called David's Automotive Repairs. He was the only emergency auto repairman in the area and would often be called to breakdowns along the long stretch of I-25.
And that fucking handy.
Jessie also frequently began visiting her father from Albuquerque. In late 1990, she became pregnant and gave birth to a baby girl. Although the biological father was her friend, there are some rumors that still hang about that the real dad was David. Now, Jessie had a variety of different jobs. She worked at Nunzino's Pizza, drove a cab, and she was a employed auto mechanic as well. Most of these jobs never lasted longer than a few weeks.
She really is taken after her daddy.
She had a terrible temper, and her relationship with her long-term girlfriend was explosive. In fact, in November of 1992, police were summoned to the apartment on more than one occasion for domestic violence.
Oh, well, it's not a surprise.
Now, the charges were dropped and the couple made up. This is regular things that happen in domestic violence situations. It's called the cycle of violence. You go through a period where it's calm, nice, then tension starts to rise, and then it's explosion. The abuse happens, be that physical, verbal, or mentally. The two split up for a short period of time, and then they remake up and they go into the honeymoon phase, which restarts the whole cycle of violence.
Yep.
So Jesse was a extrovert who usually kept a low profile in the big city of Albuquerque. However, when she did visit her father out in Truth or Consequences, she had been a local fixture at the bars like Raymond's Lounge, Rocky's, and Blue Waters Saloon, becoming a local legend for her pool playing skills because she could beat any man that came up against her. Mm-hmm. She was given nicknames like Dyke on a Bike and Cave Diver for her open sexuality as a lesbian. And she didn't care. In fact, she liked it. There was a no questions asked lifestyle when it came to the people of Truth or Consequences. And this worked as a perfect cover for David's bondage activities and wild sex parties, which became an open secret among many of the sexually adventurous individuals in Truth or Consequences.
Oh God, I'm so glad we didn't move there.
There was even rumor that one of the town's most prominent businessmen paid David to attend a live performance of lesbian sadomasochistic sex, which was videotaped on David's new boat while cruising Elephant Butte Lake, and then reproduced and sold to a network of customers that David was working with by mail.
Oh my God.
However, David's most private domain that was off limits to anyone, and only a fool would dare to ask to see what was behind its locked doors, was a trailer he kept in his backyard called the Toy Box. And that's where we're going to end off for today.
Oh, fuck me running. Okay. Well, here we go, folks. Get ready. I'm not. But here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go. That video just plays rent-free in my head.
Yes, it does. And now in your father's, too.
Yes. I got you all going. Thank you again for listening to Spattered. Please make sure to follow the show on Facebook and Instagram at Spattered Podcast and on X at Spattered Pod. If you're enjoying the show, make sure to follow and leave a 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts from. If you're watching on YouTube, like this video, subscribe, and ring the notification bell to be notified when the show goes live or drops a video. As always, if you have a case request, any questions, or are interested in sponsoring the show, please email me at spatteredpodcast@gmail.com. Spattered is a true crime podcast hosted by Caitlin Gardner and Sarah Ray. The research and edits for this episode were done by Caitlin Gardner. All the music for the show was done by Lucio Cardenas. We'll see you next time. Stay safe out there. And remember, the truth is always in the blood.